Okay, hopefully we're live and we can get going. It's a little bit too early to go to bed. It's 12:24 a.m. Pacific Coast time, San Diego, California. So when you can't quite go to bed yet and your mind is still racing, you got to do something. Time to make a video. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few things tonight. I think you may find kind of interesting. A few things I've been thinking about, especially given today's events. I got a notice on my cell phone that Bitcoin had dropped down below $29,000. Actually, dropped down below $30,000. I think today low was 29,000 something. Actually, it's like 29,154. So I'm almost dropped below 29,000, and then immediately went back up, and now it looks like we're getting close to breaking 34,000. So this is the crypto world that we're in right now, and I just want to talk about it a little bit because just some crazy stuff is going on. And I've been listening a lot to a lot of people talking about where we're going, and people trying to figure out how they fit into this space. Even you got guys like this Mark Cuban guy. And I just funny because I just talked about Mark Cuban in one of my previous videos, and it sounds like today he tried to make, or the other day he tried to make an investment in some other digital asset. Mark Cuban says Bitcoin is better than gold. Well, I guess he tried to make I heard about this. I didn't really follow it that closely, but I guess Mark Cuban got Mark Cuban, meaning, how you doing? Thanks. Appreciate the comment. Mr. Lala official. Appreciate that. Thank you. Lets me know I'm loud and clear. So I guess Mark Cuban got taken on some coin. He actually invested in some coin, and then the coin went immediately to zero. Let's see if I can find it or not. I heard about it on another broadcast or some sort of broadcast. YouTube. Billionaire Mark Cuban regrets. Okay, this is let's see what he says. Okay, billionaire Mark Cuban regrets not doing the math on Titan cryptocurrency after crashes. Billionaire investor Mark Cuban said it was my mistake for not doing his homework on the Titan cryptocurrency, which dropped from $60 to zero in one day. Well, Mr. Cuban, how does it feel to be Mr. Cuban? Because what happened is you did the same thing to Yahoo and Broadcast.com. Broadcast.com is basically zero today. So they bought it from you for $4 billion, and then you took it to zero. So you bought your cryptocurrency for $60, and now today it's zero. So Mark Cuban got Mark Cuban. I get irritated with people like Mark Cuban. And that's why I don't like the guy, and that's why I think he just should stay out of this space entirely. He's the luckiest guy on the face of the world in the history of time, in my opinion, to take a nowhere idea. It has zero value. It didn't turn into Facebook. It didn't turn into Amazon. It did nothing. It disintegrated. It went to zero. That's what Broadcast.com did, and pawned it off on Yahoo for $4 billion. Now, you had your day in the sun. That was the .com bubble, and you took advantage of it, and you made your big payday. Stay out of crypto. We don't need you in crypto, dude. Stay out. Do something else. Go entertain yourself with your boats and your yachts and whatever else you spent your billions on, but stay out of crypto. We don't need Mark Cuban in cryptocurrency. We do not need another people that irritate me is if I'm going through TikTok. My wife's starting TikTok, and she's trying to get established on TikTok, and I see somebody like who's the guy? Tom Cruise, the actor Tom Cruise, come from the 90s, I don't know, 2000s, big actor. Why am I seeing Tom Cruise on TikTok? You're a mediocre actor to begin with. You had your day in the sun. You got lucky. You got famous. You got wealthy. Now stay off the new social media. We don't want to see Tom Cruise on TikTok. I don't want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger on TikTok. I don't want to see any of these other people that had their good times. They got lucky. They got something happen, and everything worked out for them, and they got hugely lucky. You had your day in the sun. Now stay out of the today's world. Stay off of TikTok. I don't want to see. Whenever I see anybody that's famous or that name that I recognize, and I don't know anybody famous, but when I see a recognizable name on any of these new social medias, I immediately delete it, just get rid of it, block it, do whatever. I don't want to see them. I don't have nothing to do with them. I really don't follow too many new things happen. In fact, I've never really been on Twitter, and I've never really been on Facebook either. In fact, I just recently started getting involved with Facebook, but I've never been on Facebook. I've never been on Twitter. The only one I've really ever done is Google, because it's like they already got kind of popular after I was around a lot of understanding of the internet. So it's like I wasn't going to jump on board to something that was already popular. So back to why I even brought this Mark Cuban thing up today. We got people that are trying to figure out the direction of cryptocurrencies. And I myself am trying to figure out where this is going. Obviously I tell everybody this, I'm calling this channel, it's EOS Bitcoin San Diego, because in my mind, you only have two players in the game right now. You have Bitcoin and you have EOS. And of course, everybody, it's markets. According to the markets, you have, EOS isn't even in the game. I mean, EOS is way down in the bottom of the heap. They're at 27. But today, if you look at the game is this. You have Bitcoin. To me, Bitcoin is undeniably successful. Everybody should try to put some money in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been going for over 10 years. It's just been adopted by a major nation state, El Salvador, and it didn't crash the world's economy, okay? It's been adopted. It's being integrated into our world today. It's being integrated along with the dollar. So El Salvador, still trades in the dollar, but now they trade in Bitcoin. And like I say, if you're in El Salvador, it's going to be easier for you to use Bitcoin because now the government is fully adopting Bitcoin. I believe over the next 20 years, you're going to see every country in the world do what El Salvador's done, which is adopt Bitcoin as legal tender within their country. And El Salvador is just starting. And it's not going to change, and nothing's going to change. This is going to be a slow integration of Bitcoin into the world. And I'll tell you, one thing I can give people on this channel is a little bit of history, because I've been around a lot longer than people like Charles Hawkinson and Vitalik Buterin and some of these people that are running this space right now. I was a stockbroker in the 80s in Denver, Colorado, during the time where we had inflation from the Jimmy Carter years, and it was severe. I knew people that lost everything from 18-20% interest rates. And then as soon as, of course, Carter lost the election right away, and of course the next person to come in was Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan immediately brought in Paul Volcker, and they brought the rates way back down. Well, I was there during those times, just towards the end of the time of the massive inflation, and everybody was saying the same thing they're saying today. The dollar's dead, inflation's going to take off, it's going to ruin our economy, and we're all going to be living on dirt and on the streets in a couple of months, and you better buy this new penny stock. And this new penny stock is a great mining stock that all of a sudden they found reserves in the Klondike in Alaska, or the Klondike and we need to buy this penny stock, and it's 1 penny. And if you buy it today, by next week, it'll be 15 cents. And I saw those deals come and go, come and go, come and go, come and go, come and go. It's just exactly like the crypto deals, just like the one Cuban bought. And the deals are coming and going, coming and going. You never know. You don't know what to buy, and you don't know what not to buy. But what I'm saying here on this channel is you have to think about where we're at and where we're going. Now, one of the things, what the market tells us is that Bitcoin has been around for 10 years. It's been adopted by El Salvador. It's being adopted around the world. People are buying it, and it's immutable. It hasn't been broken, and it's not going away. It's going to stay here forever. So count on Bitcoin. Not to mention the fact it's got a lot of properties that you cannot duplicate. One of them is that it's not attached to anybody. You can't reduplicate that. I can't say I dislike Bitcoin because it's from it's from India. I don't like Bitcoin because it's from Africa. I don't like Bitcoin because it's from the United States. I don't like Bitcoin because it's from Canada. No, there's nobody to dislike because of Bitcoin. We don't know where it's from. You don't even know who invented it, or we know very little. We know very little about this invention called Bitcoin, even though it boggles the mind that nobody not only knows who created it or invented it, but we don't even know the people around it that may have known the person that created it or invented it. So there's like 3 generations going on here, and we have no connections to any of them. You had somebody that probably thought about it, somebody that created it, somebody that knocked it around with a few other people, And then they finally developed it, created it, and all of a sudden it comes live, and we don't know anything about any of them. So there's nothing here to hate because there's nobody to hate. So that's one thing about Bitcoin that will never change. You cannot pin it on somebody else. The second thing about Bitcoin that will never change is it hasn't been broken, and it's very secure, and it hasn't forked. It's been basically the same chain running from day number one. And as much as people have done everything they can to change it, they cannot change it, they will not change it, and it won't change. It's pretty much as solid as it gets. It's structurally as solid as it can get. So that's one side of the universe. You've got the mainstay Bitcoin, which is going to be in everybody's portfolio very soon. Most of the countries around the world are going to adopt it, if they use it or not. If they ditch the dollar or don't ditch the dollar, or if they just want to have something, some cryptocurrency, some way of bringing cryptocurrency into for their people to use, like within El Salvador with the remittances, where the people are bringing money in from outside of other countries, working in, for instance, Mexico, and they're sending money back to El Salvador. Well, the payment system is very expensive, so now we can do it through Bitcoin. So for whatever reason, Bitcoin will be more widely used, and more money will be in it. Plus, Bitcoin is relatively small. I mean, right now it's a $637 billion market cap. It's not rocking the world at $637 billion. I don't think, any superpower country is too worried about Bitcoin at $637 billion. I mean, it's crossed a trillion a couple times, but it's not something I think is really, people are that, it's not going to make or break the world as far as that's concerned. It's going to be there. It's going to stay there. It's going to continue to appreciate. And if you want to keep ahead of this whole merry-go-round that we're on right now with finances and what's going to happen with the dollar, which I don't think much is going to happen with the dollar because they control both sides of the coin, so to speak. In other words, if they think inflation is going to start rising, all they're going to do is they're just going to, they're gonna buy the equities if they feel like the interest rates are going to start rising, or interest rates are going to start going up. They can buy the bonds. They can know, did I get that mixed up? Whatever way they can buy if the interest rates start to go up, the bonds will go up, so they can sell the equities. So if the equities go, the equities start to tumble a little bit, people start buying the bonds, they can buy the equities. So no matter what side of the coin, they always win. They have both sides already pre-covered, by the fact that they can create the money to buy the equity, buy the bonds or buy the equities, whatever they need to do to keep things going, to keep the market going, to keep things going. So if the dollar is probably not going to go away anytime soon, and you're going to have some way of being able to kind of navigate this new world of digital technology, which is Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin, and according to the Fed chairman, it is safe. The new Security and Exchange Commission chairman, can't remember his name right off, but he says Bitcoin is safe. Probably one of the only ones that is safe as far as that's concerned. So now that you have the store of value Bitcoin safe, where is this space leading us to? And the next two are, the second one is Ethereum. And of course, Vitalik Buterin, the inventor of Ethereum. And in my mind, they've been working on Ethereum or 2.0 for a long time. A long time. 2.0. So they've been working on Ethereum 2.0 upgrade for a number of years now. I don't even know how many years. And I'm starting to wonder if it's ever going to be released at all. In fact, I'm kind of betting that it's not going to be released. So we have the store of value, the Bitcoin, the solid rock of the world, and then we have the Vitaliks of the world, and of course you also have Charles Hoskinson. I mentioned him a little bit earlier. He's got a blockchain called Cardano, and he's been working on it since around 2015. I don't believe he's ever going to release Cardano. I don't believe Cardano's ever going to be released, and I don't believe that Ethereum will ever be released. And the reason I don't believe either one of those will ever be released, or Ethereum 2.0, we already have Ethereum running. And I think the main reason why Ethereum has been successful, and I think probably one of the reasons that this space has been so up tipsy-turvy for the last 5 or 6 years is because of the ERC20 token. And a lot of people like Hawkinson and Vitalik have been able to make themselves very wealthy without doing anything. I mean, they've been able to tread on reputation for the last 5 or 6 years. And that's what I'm saying. Why would they change any of that now? I mean, why would Vitalik release 2.0 when all he's doing is exposing himself to a lot of problems? Why would Cardano release the Cardano blockchain when he'd expose himself to the fact that, he's going to have hiccups, just like every blockchain does. With every piece of software, it's always going to be some problems. I'm not dogging on Ethereum, and I'm not dogging on Cardano. I'm telling you, it's probably their best play not to release either one of those blockchains, to just let the space mature and see where it goes. So, and it's worked for a long time. I think probably one of EOS's biggest mistakes was that they actually did build something and release it. Because before they released EOS, it was at the highest point that it ever traded. Once they released it, then what did everybody say? Well, it's centralized. Block producers are, too colluded. Oh, we got too many people in China that are block producers. So all they did is they just threw, FUD once it was released. If Dan would have never released it, we'd be probably sitting here at 2 or 3, and they'd be saying there, well, what about this EOS thing? What's going on with that? And they would have never released it, and there would have been all this energy built up and all his expectations, and everybody would be talking to him and interviewing him, and everybody would be telling you how fast it's going to do and what it's going to run. But instead, they released it. And when they did release it, what did everybody do? Everybody threw FUD at it. What did it do? It dropped down to 27. What's the price then? Went from $22 down to $3.71. What has happened, though? Well, the one variable that they didn't account for was that everything that is still running is running today on EOS. And there's a time value that is a variable that they can't account for. And that's what I'm saying is that's why there's two universes going on. There's the Bitcoin universe, which is store money, money value, nation states accepting it as legal tender, and also time value. Bitcoin has been going on for 10 years without a problem. That's the same way EOS is now. EOS was released a few years ago. It's going on without a problem. And even though EOS is 27, and the two blockchains that have not, actually 3 blockchains that haven't been released yet, which is Ethereum, the Binance Coin, and Cardano, are still up in the top 5. But they haven't been released because we have nothing to evaluate them on. We can't go back and say good or bad things about them because we haven't seen any of the work yet. So what I'm saying is, as the space matures, whatever happens with Ethereum is benefiting Ethereum because they're kind of seeing how the world unfolds before they actually commit. But at the same time, they're losing the time value of what could have been built on it during that period of time. That's the risk that EOS took. EOS went ahead and released a blockchain. They have apps running on a blockchain, of which we are one. That's why we're so familiar with this space. I'm not like Mark Cuban, where I got to ask Cardano what's running on your blockchain. He asks Charles Hawkinson, "Hey, tell me what's running on a block on your. What would I run on Cardano?" I don't have to ask those questions because I already know he's not running, and I don't have to ask him what's running on it because I don't think anything is running on it outside of whatever minimal thing is running that doesn't take up a lot of resources. But Charles Hawkinson's more of a person that's he's a what would you say, he's an academic. So the way he deals with problems is he looks at peer review papers. So whenever he runs up against a problem, he just goes and says, well, let's go back and ask the original question, what is a blockchain? And let's read 20 papers on what a blockchain is. And then the next problem with it was, what about scalability? Well, let's read 20 papers. Let's do a peer review on scalability. And let's have everybody submit a university level paper on scalability. And then let's ask a question about how do we produce the blocks? And let's review 20 or 30. That's the way Charles Hawkinson approaches these problems. Is let's just have peer reviews, and we'll have people write papers, and we'll just go through all the data and literature, and then we'll slowly proceed forward. Vitalik, the way he approaches the problem is he fixes every problem that he has with his sheer intellectual abilities, being able to basically fix problems because he's a smart guy. But when he runs up against a brick wall, like with with the Ethereum and 2.0 and scalability, he has no answers. And when he has no answers, he just stops, because that's the way his brain works. His brain, if he can't solve the problem, he just stops, which is what he's done with Ethereum 2.0. He just stops. He doesn't move forward because he doesn't know how to see the problem solved. He only sees that he has a problem and he can't envision how to solve it, because in his mind, you can't solve it. And there really isn't solving the scalability and the security problem. There's no way to solve those two problems. It's like, and I was thinking about this analogy today, it's like a motor. It's like a diesel motor and a gasoline motor. They both have great properties. The diesel motor has a lot of power, and the gasoline motor has a lot of explosiveness. But you can't run the two diesel and gasoline motors together. They're virtually two different platforms. Diesel takes a different type of fuel than gasoline does. They have different properties and they do for different things. They're both great at what they do, but you can't combine them together. And that's what I'm saying about proof of work and proof of stake. That's what I'm saying about running a smart contract and not running a smart contract. Bitcoin, probably not going to run a smart contract. Ethereum, not going to run a smart contract until they just completely start all over again and do something aside of proof of work and go to some sort of dedicated proof of stake from the very beginning. But you're not going to run the diesel motor and the gasoline motor side by side or together in the same block. It just isn't going to work. And that's the problem. He's trying to run gasoline and diesel in the same motor, in the same block, and it just isn't working. So that's overloading his brain. So now he comes up with sharding and plasma and all these other ideas. And now it's not, well, we're not going to do it in 2021, we'll do it in 2022. So he just keeps pushing the date out further and further and further. In the meantime, it's just went over 2,000. You know, it's market cap continues to grow. The audience gets bigger, more people get interested, more developers get involved. And how has he hurt himself? By not moving forward with smart contracts. The only thing he's hurt himself by is what could have been built in that period of time, that they were not accepting the fact that they're not going to do proof of work and proof of stake at the same time, and that they're probably going to have to start all over with the proof of stake blockchain, and they're going to have to stop with the proof of work, proof of stake, and then one day we're just going to have the magic block where everybody just magically starts doing proof of stake when they were doing proof of work. And all the validators, everybody works out. That's the other thing about the validators, about the staking, all this other stuff. It's all going to work out. And why would he expose themselves to those problems when it's doing just fine the way it is going right now? So that's why I'm saying Ethereum may never launch at 2.0. And of course, Cardano may never launch at all either. But if you're watching this and you're saying that I'm being negative towards those two projects, I'm not being negative towards those two projects. I'm saying it's probably working in their benefit right now. And maybe that's just the better way for them to go, because the solution is right down here in EOS. It's already operating. They're already seeing proof of stake work. They're already scaling to what it needs in order to run it, you know, all the DeFi and all the other stuff that needs to happen in the world today in transactional speed. They're already doing it, and they've got the time advantage of the fact that stuff is already running. So, you know, for whatever you do like or not like about Dan Larimer, he does complete his project, and he did throw it out there, and he did create a smart contract platform that does work. And although it's gotten a lot of criticism and it's not trading very well, and it's the number 27 right now, it is running, and it is up and running, and it is operational. So he has put out the first smart contract blockchain in the world that runs, is compliant with all regulations. They got the waiver from the Securities and Exchange Commission. And I do believe you're going to see more from EOS as things progress. And I do wonder about what's going to happen with Cardano and Ethereum. And I do wonder what's going to happen with the idea that, you know, there's going to be some other smart contract platform come up here in the future that's going to maybe overtake all of them. I don't know. You know, one of the things that's kind of interesting to me, and I say I've never really been a big Facebook fan. And I was listening one day to a YouTube video with Mark Zuckerberg. And I guess early on, he was offered a pretty good amount of money to sell to sell Facebook. And he declined the offer and said, I don't want to do it because even though it would make me a wealthy man, I would never have to worry about anything the rest of my life. I still have to have something for myself to do. I have to have a project for myself to do. and he was in love with the process, and he wanted to keep the Facebook process going, even though it probably would have been smarter financially to sell out of the Facebook process, but he wanted to keep it going because he was enthused with it, and it was his life's work, which ended up paying off very, very well. It could be the case here with EOS. Even though EOS doesn't end up being the top blockchain right now at this time, and even though it's not the one talked about very often, in fact, very rarely, I tell you, I rarely hear EOS ever mentioned today. If you're talking about blockchains, I never ever hear EOS mentioned, or rarely. It used to be mentioned fairly regularly, but very, very irregularly now. So, and who knows, with bullish.com, and I'm going to get a little bit more into bullish.com, the new resource way of staking for resources. I got to talk to my son about how well that's working out, because they got a new resource platform for getting resources for the RAM and the CPU, how that's all working out. They're putting time in right now, and that time in is valuable because they have a smart contract platform that is working and functioning, unlike Ethereum and Binance and Cardano. And of course, we know about Doge. So we're in a little bit of a tipsy-turvy, upside-down, weird world that we're living in. And I'm not saying, oh, don't go dump your Ethereum because they'll never launch 2.0. Because obviously, if you've owned Ethereum since the very beginning, you're going to be very much in love with Ethereum. Don't dump your Cardano because it's up there. It's doing pretty well too. Just saying that they may be better off never to launch, and I'm wondering if they're ever going to launch, given the state of the way things turn out. And it's kind of like, once you do launch, that gives people an opportunity to look at your coin or your blockchain and find problems with it, and they always do, just like with EOS. And I think that's one of the right problems with EOS, is it did finally function, get released, and then it became nothing but a magnet for every negative thought and comment and every problem that anybody had with blockchain. So interesting thought to ponder. I mean, I think that's why I say I still stay with the two blockchains I feel most comfortable with, Bitcoin and EOS. I remember a long time ago, I was trying to teach myself basic programming, and I was trying to learn, was it JavaScript? I think JavaScript. And I was studying JavaScript, trying to learn it. And I remember watching this one video, and this guy says, look, he said, if you want to learn a programming language, quit listening to tutorials and start building projects. That's going to be my advice. And he was right. The second I quit watching videos about how to do JavaScript and just started coding in JavaScript, and then just refreshing my browser to see how it affected the web page or the website or the app, then all of a sudden it became more, even though I never, obviously didn't come around. This was not stuff I grew up with, so stuff I've had to learn later in life. Even though I never was any good at it, it still was the fact that you had to put the time in the work product and you had to go through the process. Neither Ethereum or Cardano are going through smart contract processes right now by not launching their blockchain. It's almost like if you sit there and you just keep pontificating, all you're going to do is never solve the problem. I always say that if you want to solve a problem, don't ever talk to an attorney, because the last person that ever wants to solve a problem is an attorney. Because all attorneys want to do is tell you, they want to go through all the solutions and the analyses. Like I said about Charles Hoskinson, he wants to go back to what is the basics of what is a blockchain and get 100 papers on what a blockchain is. That's what an attorney wants to do. He wants to go back and charge you $100,000, $500,000 an hour, whatever rate that they charge you, to go back and tell you how your problem has all these different solutions and bill you for your time, for the time for them to figure out how to fix your problem. And the longer you can't fix the problem, the more billable hours they create. That's what I'm saying. If you ever have a problem, don't go to an attorney to fix it, because you will just create another problem, and that will be a money problem. And that's kind of like what's going on there with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and these others, is they're not getting time in. They're not getting working time in by running a real live blockchain in the real live world. They should quit running on testnet and start running on the real world net and start programming and start having things being built. because that's when you're going to see blockchain really take off, when real things are being run on it, just like what we're doing right now on as our application runs today on the US blockchain. That's like Mark Cuban asked Cardano, "What's running? What? How? What's?" He doesn't. He's not even smart enough to ask a good question. I think I watched it on a video earlier that he doesn't even know how to ask a good question about how to evaluate a blockchain and blockchain's scalability and what's going to run on it. And Hawkinson's, basic answer to Cuban is, "Hey, come visit me in Colorado. We're two billionaire boys. We'll have a good time. We'll go out and drink and party and have some good times, and we'll yuck it up and maybe we'll play some games on Twitter and have a good time." And then basically that's their way of giving you a solution for the problems. So, no, I don't, Leonard. Do you use I Trust Capital? I don't see the logo behind paying $29.99. Yeah, I mean, I don't use any of these apps, and I don't even ask anybody to subscribe to this channel. The only thing I ask is that we have our challenge application running on the EOS blockchain. It's just challenge, CHALLENGE, EOS. It's in the Google Play, and it's also in the Apple App Store. Download that, play around with it. There's a real running blockchain app that's running, something that's really, really running. Charles Hawkinson's good at hyping his community and at selling snake oil. Hawkinson is an academic. He loves the academics. He'll talk endlessly about the papers that he's read and the ideas, but you know what? It's working for him. It's really working. It's working like a charm. He's got a $40 billion market cap. The guy's living like a king. He goes to any country he wants to go in the world, probably flies in his private jet. He's living like he's a billionaire. And why would he change anything? Why would he be stupid enough to launch Cardano? I don't know why. I don't think he should. The same with Vitalik. He's loved by everybody. Why would you ruin it and actually go out there and launch something that runs a smart contract and have it blow up? He'd lose all of his celebrity status. Now he gets on his airplane, he flies anywhere in the world, he does anything he wants to. Everybody loves him. Why would you launch Ethereum 2.0 and expose yourself to all that nonsense? So like I'm saying, these guys are probably better off never to launch these blockchains. But the one that did launch and the one that is running, that I think will pick up some as blockchains become more accepted, as we're seeing with El Salvador, and as people start to realize, hey, this is pretty cool for a payment method. Now we need to have a third party for other things to do on the blockchain too, and we need smart contracts. And we want to be, it's like we like the car, but now we want it to go a little bit faster. We like the car, but we want to have our own music in the car. We like the car, but we like to have a little bit different color. We like the car, but we want some of that bells and whistles to go along with it. Once people get familiar with Bitcoin, they'll understand, hey, there's another part of this. We can write code with this Bitcoin, decentralized blockchain. And once we do that, then we got a lot of cool things we can do. We can put property on the blockchain. We can put almost anything immutable on the blockchain. We can timestamp things on the blockchain. And we can have a record for everybody to see, a public record. And once people start to get their mind around this stuff, now you're going to see who's been doing this for the last 5 or 6 years and who's been talking about it for the last 5 or 6 years. Well, EOS has been doing it. Cardano and Binance and Ethereum have been talking about it. So we'll see what happens. But like I say, and I kind of got a feeling this is the way it's going to go, even though it probably never happens the way you think it's going to happen. I mean, if it would have happened to be the way we thought it was going to happen, we would have never, ever gotten involved with EOS. We would have probably saved our money and bought Ethereum coin, bought Ether. Would have been much more profitable than spending a lot of money on a project. And then having everybody say that EOS is a dead project. We'd have been much better off doing something different. But nobody can do what we've done, which is we're on version 7 or version 8. We have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of users, and we're gaining every day. So nobody can make up for that past time. So the time, the effort, and the work product, the time that we put into this, nobody can duplicate. And that's why we did what we did. Even though it wasn't the most profitable way to go, it's the only way to do it. It's the only real way to do it. It's like Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg built Facebook because he had to put time in for the process. Mark Cuban sold broadcast.com because he didn't have any work in progress. He didn't build anything. He just had a concept. Like, I'd like to watch my basketball games on the internet. I'm an Indiana, basketball fan, and I'm living in Florida, and I want to watch basketball games. And I'm not sure if the stories. I'm not sure if it's in Florida or if it's in Indiana, but that's kind of what sticks in my memory. I want to watch things on the internet, so I'm going to come up with the idea called broadcast.com, which we're trying to run on 28K modems, live streaming events, which never worked. And he didn't have anything invested, and of course, as soon as he dumped it on Yahoo, he sold all of his stock. Whereas a guy like a little bit brighter, Zuckerberg, kind of saw the end product and was involved with the process. That's the way we are. We are involved with the process. So when I talk about Bitcoin or talk about Ethereum or talk about Binance or Cardano, I'm not talking about it because I got a little bit of money to throw around at these coins. I'm talking about it because we study this stuff every single day as we have our own challenge application coin, our CHL coin that trades on Nudex. Hopefully, we trade on more exchanges as we grow. But we are putting time in. We are developing a blockchain application that we are involved with almost on a daily basis. So we're putting the time in. We're not just talking the game. We're actually playing the game. And that's why I'm saying that the world is kind of mixed up right now. Because right now, talking the game is much more profitable than playing the game. And if you start talking the game, you talk a good enough game, you'll do very good and very well at the game. And that's what Charles has done. That's what Vitalik's done. They both have done very, very well at the game. And I don't want to ruin the game for him, but I would just tell you this, that if either one of those blockchains ever launch, I'll be very surprised. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.